Marco, how significant is this advance then for the YPG?
Extremely important from a strategic perspective. The taking of the city, Enisa, basically sits on the highway that connects Syria's largest city, Aleppo, in the northwest, with its far more northeastern province. So it's that road that it controls that's very, very important. In addition to that, there's also the morale factor. Is the fact that last week, and there was a Battle of Tel Abyad, which was on the border between a border town between Syria and Turkey. The YPG, the Kurdish units, took that town together with the help of elements from the Free Syrian Army. And a week later, now they take this town. And so it shows you, it's that sense of morale. The point I'm trying to make is that it breaks the fear factor about ISIS, that aura of invincibility. It begins to break it. So there's a strategic side to it, which is very important, but also the symbolism.
I see what you mean with that. The symbolism is a very important aspect in this. And do you think that's a serious, I guess you could say, advance then in taking Raqqa, the stronghold of IS?
Raqqa is different. Now, you got the YPG, the Kurdish unit within Syria. Their main objective is to protect and secure Kurdish majority areas. Raqqa is not a Kurdish majority area. So although it lies 50 kilometers from today's recent conquest, the idea is that they're saying, and they made it clear, it's not part of our agenda. Mm-hmm. Now, if the other Syrian Arab forces, for example, elements of the Free Syrian Army, if they would want to launch an attack on Raqqa, the Kurds would consider possibly supporting them in that. But at this point in time, it's not on its agenda.
So coordination between the YPG and the US-led coalition has been very important here. How significant is it that those two strategic elements are in line in order to retake territory that's been captured before?
Well, in terms of having these forces working with Free Syrian Army forces and other Syrian forces, we call them Syrian Arab forces, it's very important because what the YPG wants to make clear is that it's not a separatist movement. By saying that, they're saying in a new Syria, we want to have an autonomous region within a free Syria. This, in a way, helps to calm the concerns of the Turks, who've had over the years difficulty with the PKK and a conflict that goes back to 1970 with over 30,000 dead. So there's also that element that the YPG wants to make it clear they're not separatists. In terms of working with the U.S., it's very, very important. That relationship began in Kobane, that border town between Syria and Turkey. Now, the U.S. was originally very, very reluctant to help YPG and the Kurdish elements in that battle because of U.S. relationship with Turkey, obviously. But as they saw over time that how fierce fighters the Kurds were, the YPG was, they began to gradually help them out. And over time, they finally realized this is a potential ally we can have on the ground. The U.S. doesn't have very many reliable or dependable allies on the ground in Syria, as opposed to Iraq, where it works directly with the government. So after Kobane, this relationship has developed, has evolved even more. And when you get the conquest in Tel Abyad last week and the conquest of Enisa just this week, it shows you that that relationship is one of mutual convenience. In times of war, necessity also at times creates allies who may not be natural allies from the beginning. But one has to make it clear, the YPG is not an ally of the U.S. for the conquest of all of Syria.
I see.
It's regionally limited in what it can do. It can work together with other Arab elements of the insurgency against Assad and against ISIS, but that would be more on a cooperative and a collaborative level outside of the Kurdish majority areas.
What do you make of the news that the Syrian military have made advances in the northwest of the city of Palmyra, which has been under IS control for a few months now?
In recent weeks, the Syrian army and then militias that are affiliated with the Syrian military have been suffering numerous defeats, whether it's been in the north of in the north of Syria against ISIS, and also in the south against the southern front. Much of its ability, its ability to hold territory or to take territory, will depend upon the help of the Iranian government. 2 years ago, when the Syrian forces, when Assad's forces were experiencing setbacks, General Soleimani, who's an Iranian general, who's affiliated with the Republican Guards of Iran, began devising a whole new system of militias for Syria. And then from there, they began gaining territory, making advances, and making progress. General Soleimani now is back in Syria as of this week, and he made statements saying that surprises are in store. So if he's able to produce the results that he did 2 years ago, we're in a different Syria now, obviously, but if he can make similar fixes to the Assad government's forces and their militias from that point on and bring more Iranian troops in, that could possibly change the tide. And in places like Palmyra, they can maybe take advances and retake those cities. But once again, that remains the question depending upon how much support Iran can give and how effective that support is.
Sure, Marco, great to talk to you as always. Thank you very much indeed.